A warm welcome to everyone for our PCQuest 35 years journey from 1987 to 2022. Today, we will be discussing how multiple devices became indispensable in the COVID era. For that, we have Vineet Taneja, former Regional President APAC of Dyson, ex-CEO of Micromax Infomatics, and former country head mobile and digital imaging of Samsung Electronics. So the perfect person to discuss this. Welcome, Vineet.
Thanks, Sunil. Pleasure.
So I'll just get straight to it. Now, it's like the history of devices has been very fascinating. So first we had, like the desktops, they were used for a certain things, then laptops, tabs, smartphones. So initially there was one very distinct role for each. And then there was some merging started to happen. So just talking about the pre-COVID era, how were these devices used? Were they used for everything, or did they retain a distinct work roles even till 2019?
I think very broadly speaking, I think pre-COVID, laptop was for work, phone was for fun and social networking and on the go, and iPad, or if you might call tablets as a category, they were becoming more and more entertainment consumption device, yeah, or I would just say consumption device overall, not just entertainment, but any kind of consumption. So those are the broad things. Then there was this entire thing of, if I might call it accessories, because that's become a very important part of the entire ecosystem now. And in that case, I think headsets, speakers, etc. There were different roles for different things. I mean, I used to use speakers for conference calls and so on and so forth. Since when you do a regional job, you're actually already working virtually. And then there was, of course, Bluetooth speakers for entertainment, headsets for music or on the go. So clearly, every device did have a very distinct role in people's lives. It's just that I remember one day counting, I had at one point of time 9 or 10 distinct devices which I was carrying all the time, right? And I don't want to count that, but you can, if you want, I can count them. But there were 9 to 10 devices that somebody was carrying. Charging them was usually the biggest pain.
That's fascinating. And then actually what happened is when the pandemic hit, everyone started scrambling to work remotely. And then I think there was a merging of devices where I think almost everything was used for work and also for entertainment, like OTT. So you're using the work laptop for that. So what maybe you can speak something about this merging of the use, and also what kind of devices went in for maximum change and usage during this period. And of course, this is still an ongoing period.
Yeah, I think yes and no. So I agree with you to some extent that there was a multiple usage across devices. A lot of apps created their desktop versions and so forth. And suddenly, for example, WhatsApp came onto the screen and so on and so forth. But one thing that I just want to give a dimension of in the organized sector, and I think devices became more distinct because of a simple reason that security became an issue, and both from a company side and from the employee side. For example, I would never use my work laptop for anything else except work, because no, it's just a no, because you don't want to be caught using. I mean, for different reasons. Right? Let me put it this way. And I think in that sense, multiple devices came into play, and therefore, while, for example, I know so many people who have 2 laptops. One, because work and personal laptop is different, but also you need a backup. The world of backup, you had to have a redundancy, just like the companies have redundancy, and people started having redundancy. Can you imagine your laptop is broken? What do you do? You're literally stranded. So as a result, I think in my mind, each of the things remained broadly for a certain purpose, but devices and work and pleasure, or work and personal devices, became more and more distinct. That's my personal experience and from whatever I hear in the industry. which is why this entire boom of in the devices space largely has been for that reason as well.
Yeah, and another thing, so like that's what there was some distinct thing about devices. Some sort of merging happened, maybe as you said, not fully, but the last 2 years has seen a certain amount of technological acceleration. So going forward, will we continue to have more and more devices? So will we have like you said 9, 15, 20, or will the other way around? Will we have a consolidation, and will we just use a few dominate? Like say, for one thing I was thinking, what if we had a VR headset that could be used for work conference calls? It could be
Yeah.
doubling up as a phone. So will we have more or less? How do you think in say in the next 8, 10 years things are going to pan out?
See, at the larger level, it'll be more because things like whether it is wearables, whether it is your headsets, and so if I include all the accessories, etc., I think there'll be more. But if I was just talking about computing devices, I think there'll probably be less. For example, I do feel that a lot of people might own multiple devices, but at any point of time will use one or the other. Yeah. For example, my phone now, when I'm at my desk, I don't really need my phone. Everything that I want to do, whether it is WhatsApp or whatever, can be done on my big screen. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot, which is amongst professionals, is that they are now almost setting up screens to work. So lawyers, for example, designers, they are, because they are also communicating, they're actually using screens to do communication in addition to having their computing devices. So if you look at it from that point of view, devices are actually growing up in terms of numbers.
Again, going forward, like you talked of them using as a screen. So we, where we are heading, maybe in the future, any wall will be used as a screen. We will have
So
home
that's
assistant. Yeah.
You're so right. In fact, that's one revolution that is, I think, at the cusp of happening, which is we talk of screens rather than devices. So the same device could be projected on different screens. And there are there is innovation happening on the projection system where very small projectors, I'm sure you've seen them. I use them all the time now. So I have one little, there's this brand called Anchor. It is really a tiny connected projector. So I can sit on my laptop, use that connection with the Bluetooth or on the same Wi-Fi, and I can use that as a screen. And I can actually play a movie while I'm working, or I watch the match while I'm working. So you're absolutely right. But I go back to the point, therefore, multiple devices, multiple screens. I think that I don't think is going away in a hurry. Till, I don't know, yeah, that's what I feel. But if you are asking about computing devices, I think that will shrink. So I think your point is probably about computing devices, and I think we will have one computing device which will have multiple screens. And you know that today youngsters, and I've started doing that very effectively as well, with the same laptop actually have 3 screens, right? 2 screens on top and 1 laptop screen. So again, you're right. One screen, one computing device, multiple screens.
Maybe I'll ask one final question. So, I'm just wondering, like, someone like, say, Arthur C. Clarke, he said that when, say, personal communication becomes perfect, there's no need for transportation to go and visit the clients. Or if transportation is great, communication. He used to say like they're at odds with each other. So I'm just wondering where we are going. So like everyone talks of the metaverse. So after 10, 15 years, will we be traveling all over the world, and will we have a virtual metaverse outside, or do you think we'll be like stuck in our homes in a virtual world? So even when you talk of metaverse, there's one like Matrix style where you are
I'm
just
wrong
at one
because
place. Yeah. So I'd just be curious. If
no.
I
So
know it's tough, but yeah.
I think the frequency of travel will reduce. I find that in my work life, if I met somebody, after that I can go virtual. Perfect. Yeah. I do hope, for the benefit of mankind, that we do not build personal relationships remotely. If that was to happen, that would be really, really sad. That will be the end of humanity from a emotional perspective. But yeah, I think on the work front, what will happen is you'll meet somebody once just because you want, kind of, it helps make that interaction. But then after that, it'll be virtual. So I think the frequency of travel will or frequency of meeting will actually come down quite dramatically. And you know how sometimes financial and commercial reasons drive these things. We'll give these reasons for efficiency, but reality is also it's much more cheaper. I mean, corporates will save tons of travel money and hotel stay money and so on and so forth, and even office money if they were to do that. And I think, and for that reason, some industries really need to reshape themselves.
Actually, because you said that, I am tempted to ask one more question. So what happens is when you're alone all the time, so like right now your smartphone is your best friend. It's so what about us merging with devices, like Elon Musk Neuralink or an implant? So I mean, will there be then a temptation to merge with a device if you're finding more and more that sitting alone you can do everything? So maybe I just like your views on that.
Yeah, I think some of these things get fast tracked much faster, and you need a catalyst like COVID to kind of things to happen. I think you're right. It is not unthinkable for sure. Uh, and 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 I say that with the benefit of hindsight. When you look at what smartphones are doing today, and I see a video made by Nokia back in the day, I think in 2010, just 12 years ago, and that used to look like a dream at that time. And it's just all happening and more. Actually, much more is happening in a decade. So to me, the speed of change of everything is just phenomenal. I think that the human side of it comes through a catalyst, and not just through money and not just through ecosystem. That's the hard part. But I think a catalyst like COVID has just accelerated that. And as a catalyst could be social networking earlier, right? Social networking platforms help that entire penetration of smartphones. BlackBerry helped the penetration of work devices or work email and so on. So what you're saying is absolutely right. Looks unthinkable, and that's why you asked that question with a smile. But it is eminently possible. I don't write off anything as a crazy idea when it comes to tech.
So anyway, thank you for your time. That was a very engrossing discussion. I'm sure like 2010,
Thanks so much.
2020, maybe I'd like to maybe at some future date sit with you again and discuss what new devices have come after this talk.
And we will replay the video and say, oh, okay, this is not what we thought of.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sunil. Thank you so much.